Well, here we are again. I'm Mike Fader, and President of Mountain Disaster Preparedness, and this meeting came up a little quick. We couldn't get it in the town prior in time, but I'm happy you're all here. Rather than being by the fire where all of our Facebook folks are, we are on MDP's Facebook page tonight going live. So thank you all for coming. The agenda is going to be fairly short. It seems like the better the news, the shorter the meetings, which is great for us. As president of MDP, I feel it's my responsibility to let you know we've got red flag warnings right now. Winds are supposed to increase tonight through tomorrow. We do have an event. We need you to be prepared tonight, so leave your phones on. The last time we had a power alert from Edison, my phone rang at 10:30. So keep your phones on tonight. Be aware. And in regard to that, if we do evacuate for any reason, I need you to have your go bags ready. You all have them. If the power goes out, looking for your valuables at night in the dark is going to be hard. So get them ready and get them prepared. And when any repopulation of the town takes place, our CERT people are usually asked to be at the checkpoints. But you need a valid ID. Driver's license doesn't cut it because it has a post office box on it. So an Edison bill, a water bill, anything to prove you're a resident will get you right back in. So let's hope that we don't have to do that and we survive another fire season in Idyllwild.
I think we take money bribes too.
Yeah, we could. The agenda tonight is going to be Caltrans. Terry's going to come up and let us know about Highway 243. We've got one back. As promised in the last meeting, thank you, Caltrans, for getting 74 back. So we're going to hear some news tonight about our other road, 243, and I hope it's good. We really dodged a bullet with monsoon season. We really didn't have a lot of rain that interrupted the work on 74. And now I believe that's all being transferred to 243, so we're going to have some good news. Captain Purvis is here, I think. Okay, well I know Mike Alvarez is here. Captain Alvarez is going to talk to us about basic safety on 243 when we are able to use it. And then we got a very special guest. Alex Hardy is here from NOAA. Mountain Disaster Preparedness had Alex up 2 or 3 years ago when we were facing El Nino. He's a great guy, loves the mountains. He's going to give us a little winter forecast tonight, so that'll also be helpful. Before I get going or leave this microphone, where's Matt Kramer?
Right here.
Matt Kramer came, gave us the approval for the room tonight, as he has for the other 3 meetings. This cost him and Unified a few bucks to bring the chairs in and keep the lights on and put Matt on overtime. Just kidding. But thank you very much, Matt, for all you've done for our community and for Mountain Disaster Preparedness. Greatly appreciated. So with that, Glenn Miller, where are you? Are you in the audience? Glenn is representing Senator Stone's office. Glenn, thanks for coming. After the presentations tonight, we'll open it up for questions and answers. I didn't anticipate a huge crowd tonight, so we're not going to do cards. If you have a question, we'll just bring you up and we'll get an answer.
Shane's got the mic and he'll walk.
Good. So, let's hear from Terry.
Yeah!
Terry's got our card and she's going to give us some good news.
Okay, and I want to acknowledge Stacy Kelly's over here from your emergency management office tonight, ribco.org. And your Idylllwild fire team. teams that did so well. Thank you, Shay and Philip from Caltrans for doing the sound and being up here to support this. So. And Mark is here, your fire chief. All right, so this is going to be short and sweet tonight. I think the person that's probably going to talk the longest is going to be Alex. So Caltrans is pleased to announce we're going to open State Route 243 by 6 p.m. on Friday night. So it may open sooner, I'm hoping. God has got a guardrail contractor up there finishing up the work right now. They were still working. We wanted to drive the route, so we asked for a key so we could get through, and it looks good. One other thing you're going to notice about 243 when you drive through there is new pavement from just below Lake Fulmer all the way to the 10. Wow. So you have brand new pavement. There is a recessed marker with a double yellow stripe, and I believe there was not a fog line yet, I don't believe. This paving job was separate from the emergency contract. It was the SB1 project. And they were set to start during these repairs, and we're like, oh gosh, this is gonna be a mess. Well, it ended up being a good thing because we were able to complete a 120 working day paving job in 45 days. Wow. So when you open up this road, they expedited this work, so they're done with the paving portion. You have ADA upgrades on this project. Turnout locations have been paid, and on November 4th, the striping contractor will be coming in to do the thermoplast striping, which lasts longer and it's more reflective. And they'll be doing the recessed markers in the median. Right now, it's just a rumble strip and a double yellow stripe. So when you start driving the road on Friday, or maybe Thursday, you'll notice that new pavement, because we all know how tore up that road was for a very long time, and that goes to your gas tax. So that was SB1 money. Let's see, we spent almost $30 million, the amount of the emergency contract, the last one that was let after the storm on February 14th. Most of you have driven the 74, you've seen the upgrades, the improvements, it's massive, it's big. We spent a lot of money on that route. It cost a lot of money to fix the two big washout locations on the 243. Were there other areas we would have liked to have addressed that we identified later on after other storms? Yeah, but it's not areas that is a catastrophic event where you've lost road. So we may go back in there later and do a regular project to do some upgrades on culverts. We're going to keep an eye on those. But your biggest locations of failure, culvert failure and washout, has been addressed. They got the head wall in at the big washout. They're still probably going to be up in there doing a little bit of work. There'll be some flagging, especially when the thermal strike comes through. Now, this $30 million project, or the almost $30 million, that's done and over and gone on down the road. Now, of course, the fire one that came out after the fire, the very first one, that's been done for a long time. Remember the second emergency project for $25 million to fix the culverts? Remember that one? It started a couple of weeks ago. So that project is going to come in and upgrade and improve about 100 and something culverts from Lake Hemet all the way to Mountain Center. It's also going to pay to finish up the AC dike on the 74 between Mountain Center and Hemet, because we need to put the concrete AC dike underneath the guardrail. And then the other thing that that project is going to address is removal of about 300 dead and burned trees that are still sitting out there. So on 243 at Post Mile 3, starting Thursday, they're going to begin the tree removal. And it's dependent on the wind. They cannot work in the wind, and that's why they haven't been working at all in the last couple of weeks. So they're going to start at Post Mile 3 and back down to 0, and then they're going to start on the 74. So they're thinking about a week and a half on the 243, and then they're thinking about 2 to 3 weeks to finish the tree removal on the 74. Over the last 2 weeks, what they've been doing is prepping under guardrail to come in with the concrete or asphalt. I think it's asphalt to do the AC dike. So they hope to be finished with the AC dike work and the tree work before Thanksgiving. So, we have a new resident engineer that's gonna be on that project. His name is Nan Nguyen. And I've known him for 30 years. He's a great guy. God is gonna be taking over another project. So Nan is gonna be up here taking care of this next emergency project. And the new senior RE is Joe Lopez. But like I told you before, when I was up here a few months ago, we're gonna be up here probably for about another year. So I talked to Nan, and he states about 6 to 9 months, weather dependent, to finish this culvert job. We have over 100 culverts to replace and upgrade, and it's gonna take time, so there will be flagging. Most of your flagging is gonna be on the 74 between Lake Hemet and Mountain Center, and then on that small portion from post mile 0 to 3 on 243. But I believe that most of the culvert work will be on 74 in that one location where the fire really hit that highway hard. Because a lot of your culvert work has already been done on the other section of 74. Not much more. God, I can't believe I remembered all of that stuff. So the culvert work, he's hoping to start in the first week of December. We don't do lane closures during holidays, you all know that. So I believe it's a 2-week period that we don't. We also don't work during the Thanksgiving holiday. That's all I have. That's it. But we did meet these milestones, we did meet the commitments. Our director, Mike Beauchamp, really pushed and pushed and pushed and said, I want these dates met. Even though we're gonna do a little bit of flagging to finish up some striping or whatnot, the guardrail treatments hopefully will be done by Thursday. The minute that's done, there's 10 locations on 243. We can open the road. So our director was very committed to these dates, and we stuck with them because we want this community to get back to normal. So thank you all for your patience and just putting up with everything. So we just want you to be safe.
You have a press release out on that?
Yeah, so the press release will go out in the morning because you know I like to tell you guys first, although we did do some TV interviews today. I thought, you know, by the time this stuff runs, you guys are going to hear it, and it's only going to boost the tourism. So the press release will go out in the morning. It's going to say it'll be open by Friday at 6 p.m. If by chance, on God, can get that contractor to finish up on Thursday or whatever, when they open up that road, there'll be another press release.
Good evening. In case you don't know me, Mike Alvarez. I'm the commander of the CHP office that serves the Idyllwild Pine Cove area. I'll be really brief here tonight. I wanted to commend Caltrans on their commitment and adhering to those timeframes that they originally gave us. But I also wanted to thank the Idyllwild Pine Cove community for adhering to their commitment. If you don't recall, the very first time I stood in front of you, I said it was my goal and the Highway Patrol's goal to make it through this ordeal without any major injuries or fatal traffic collisions during the course of this project. And I'm pleased to say during the entire year of 2019, we have not had a major injury, we have not had a fatal traffic collision on this hill, which means that we haven't lost a single community member to fatal traffic collisions or major injury traffic collisions. So I appreciate it. So to echo on, to basically piggyback off that, I do want to remind everybody, now that we have our roadways back, please maintain a level of order while driving these roadways. There's still going to be flagging out there, there's still going to be construction out there. I promise you, Highway Patrol will still be out there during the project. Although we didn't have any major collisions, we issued an inordinate amount of citations. Just didn't want to follow along with the roads of the road. So I'm not going to be pulling back with my officers. My commitment to the communities that will still be up here 24/7, and my commitment to Caltrans is that we'll still maintain order and safety throughout the project. Big season coming up, snow season, so you'll see us dressed a little bit more warmly. All right? Thank you very much.
Yeah, why don't you go next, Alex? I want to say what
Good evening. My name is Mark Lamont, and I'm your Idyllwild Fire Chief. I had a whole list of things that I went through, and Matt Kramer told me I have a minute and a half. So here we go, Matt. Start
60 seconds.
Start your stopwatch. I just want to say thank you to the community. First of all, thank you to Caltrans, thank you to CHP, Riverside County Sheriff, EMD. Everybody pulled together. We did several joint trainings, put joint trainings together for the change in our evacuation routes. We worked through those. They were all extremely successful. On top of that, we had a record number of passes during our abatement process this year. So you guys are stepping up, the property owners are stepping up. We can't thank you enough for that. You guys are helping us to mitigate the overall threat of fire to the community of Idyllwild. We've been out, we're not out of the woods yet, as Mike Fader alluded to. We still have a little bit of fire season left to get through, so please continue with your diligence. We're going to need your help. Make sure your go bag's ready. Make sure we're not having outdoor fires. Let's be fire safe. Let's make sure that we get through this fire season. We've got guys out on the Kincaid fire. We've had guys out on about 8 different incidents to work through the mutual aid system this year, so that we're giving back just like the help that we get when we call on them for help. I know that Chief Muir's here tonight, and one of his guys has a strike team out with our engine on it up on the Kincaid. So we all work together to make this happen. We can't do this without you. We can't do this without our cooperators, all of our partners working together, and with all of that effort, we'll mitigate this threat. So thank you all very much. We appreciate your help with that. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Alex Tardy, if you haven't met me, from NOAA National Weather Service. We're based out of Rancho Bernardo in San Diego County. My news isn't as good as Caltrans's news. The weather's never good news, right? Unless you like extreme weather. So I want to remind you, first off, that the rainfall that we had in February of 2019 that Terry mentioned, that rainfall was unprecedented. We had not seen a day in February in history in this region here of Idyllwild, Pine Cove, that had rained so much in one day. We set records, all different type of records for the month of February. So you lived through and saw what an extreme rainfall event can be and what it can do to even a rugged community like Idyllwild here. So I want to remind you that we're seeing these type of events occur a little bit more frequent. It doesn't mean that we have rainfall like that every year, and it doesn't mean that we have wildfires like we're seeing right now every single fall. But it does mean that it's never been a better time to be prepared and to be aware of your surroundings and have a plan. So in particular for the red flag warning that's in effect right now, this community up here, while you won't see the worst wind out of this particular Santa Ana wind, you're going to see enough. And the wildfires spread, and they spread rapidly, and they come from miles and miles away. And it's extremely random, and no one knows where they're going to start or if they're going to start at all. I will say that the conditions that we're looking at for the next basically 48 hours are about as extreme as they can get in terms of how dry it's going to be, how windy it can be, and also how persistent it's going to be for 48 hours. Our fuels, so the measure of the vegetation, the trees, our trees know everything about the weather. Our vegetation knows everything about the weather. They feel it, and we have not seen any appreciable rain since about May. And we are now looking at fuel moistures that are at the critical record levels in our region. So if it doesn't affect us here, hopefully, it is going to probably affect someone in our region like we've been seeing recently. The good news that after Thursday night, it looks like, other than the cold temperatures, it looks like we're going to have an extended period of some tranquil weather. Some nice, relatively mild, light winds, which would be good for the construction work for Caltrans on the 74. So we don't really see any significant Santa Ana wind or any big storms all the way until like mid-November. Now that said, There does look like there'll be some type of pattern change in mid-November. It might bring us our first real significant rainfall, but right now that's too far out to really pinpoint it down. Now for the rest of the winter, until we see some significant rain, and when I mean by significant rain, I don't mean like February last year. I mean a wetting rain where the streams flow just a little bit, that type of thing. Until we see something like that, we're going to have high fire risk in all of our communities, including Idyllwild, all the way through December. You know, we just went through that in 2017, where we had fire risk at high levels all the way to Christmas, into early January, New Year's. So there's potential for that to happen this year. Let's hope it doesn't happen and we can sneak in a rain event or two. But overall, this upcoming winter looks to be on the dry side. Now, that said, dry and mild side, so mild meaning, warm days, normal nights, but warm days, so what snow we do get won't stick around very long. But that said, a lot of research that's being done, and I do have some handouts in the back as well on the table. A lot of research that's being done indicates that you really don't need any type of El Nino, you don't need any type of special weather phenomena going on to have a rain event like we saw last February. We're calling atmospheric rivers is what they're named scientifically. But those type of events can happen randomly any year, even when we're having a dry year. So we're expecting this winter to be on the dry side, the mild warm side. That's good and bad, depending on if you're hoping for a lot of snow or a lot of precipitation. But what it also means is that our winter could be on the short side, which means we have to deal with, and those of you who've been around here in recent years, deal with an early spring, which results in, yes, another kind of shorter, but still fire season during the springtime. So it is what it is, but the upcoming winter does not have any real significant signal for any significant overall rainfall. But individual rain events, you still need to prepare for and expect. So individual rain events are still going to be a threat even this winter that can cause some problems. Hopefully nothing like we saw last year. That is like a 1 in 100 year event. But those events, when we say 1 in 100 years, we really don't set our iPhone for 100 years and then it resets. That's just not the way it works, and that's not the way it's working with weather in any part of the United States or North America, especially in some of our recent years with our recent extreme weather events. So I think if you follow the mountain preparedness tips, if you be vigilant, if you have the plan, be ready to go, even a major Santa Ana wind like we're going to see in the next 48 hours starting just after midnight tonight, those type of things we can get through. We're not going to be able to stop the disasters, whether it be the floods, the high winds, or the extreme heat, or anything like that, or big snowstorms. But we certainly can prepare a little bit more for them. My advice to you is to follow the weather if you're not already, and follow it up until the event so that you have a really good situational awareness of what you expect coming. A lot of times we hear what happens is people say, well, I thought it was coming in at 8 a.m., not 8 p.m., or vice versa, that type of thing. So whatever you want to use, your favorite local TV meteorologist, you want to use National Weather Service, weather.gov, you want to use your iPhone, whatever you have, your Facebook pal who follows the weather, whoever it might be, follow it up to each weather event, and you'll be much better off so you're not caught off guard by any changing weather. And the forecasts are never wrong, right? Come on.
I'd rather check my window.
All right, occasionally they're wrong. And it is good to look out the window, yes. I agree with that. Any meteorologist caught not looking out the window probably deserves to get struck by a lightning bolt. Well, maybe not that. But, so our website is weather.gov if you'd like to follow our website, or pick your favorite one on your phone or on your TV. And I think we'll all be able to get through, not a matter of when necessarily, or if, but we'll get through the next disaster that Mother Nature brings us, just like we did this one. Thank you, everyone. Be safe.
I follow Alex's website and it's pretty spot on. And with us up here, when we see something coming, we like to get down to Stater Brothers and get back before it hits. So I'm just asking you to be cognizant of the fact that weather is weather and it can change at any time. But it's good news that it's going to be mild, hopefully, and we'll have a beautiful winter up here in Idyllwild. Glenn, do you want to speak and say anything? Stacy, how about you? Stacy's our representative with Riverside County Emergency Management District, a great friend of Mountain Disaster Preparedness in the Hills.
Good evening. So we've been working with our response partners, and we've come up with new terminology that's going to be used throughout for any kind of evacuation terminology. We've heard about mandatory and warnings, get prepared. So the terminology at this stage in the game, and it's been official, we've talked to our response partners and everybody's on board with the fire as well as our law, is going to be that it will be evacuation warning or evacuation order. And lastly will be shelter in place. So those are going to be the three words: evacuation warning, evacuation order, meaning you're going to go, and then shelter in place. Okay? I encourage you to go to our RIVCO EMD website, as well as sign up for rivcoalert.org. That'll give you all of the information you need throughout the county and also up in your area as well. So thank you so much.
My board always criticizes me for having long meetings, and I get this a lot. This one is 35 minutes. We're just about done. We're going to take questions from the audience. But I want to congratulate all of you for putting up with what we've all put up with for darn close to a year. Our friends have helped us. They've done a great job. They've kept their timelines. But you guys kept your cool. So great, great, great job by Idylllwild. Questions? We'll take a mic to you.
Is 243 open for evacuation? And what is an AC, what's it?
An AC guy. Oh,
asphalt.
Sorry about that, Caltrans and our terminology. So, 243, if it was needed, would open because it's fine right now. They're just finishing up the guardrail. If we had to get you down that hill on 243, we would. AC is asphalt concrete dike. Now, maintenance used to build the berms under the guardrails to stop the water from rolling over, and so this is going to be an asphalt concrete dike this time. It'll be done with asphalt. Sorry about that.
Good question, thanks. Anything else? Any other question? Yes. Yes, ma'am. I'll bring it.
Where are the different weather stations up here in Idyllwild? Whenever I check the weather, it varies by 10 degrees, depending on what site I'm looking at. I know that because like the fire department.
There are several.
Yeah, we both can speak to that. So my agency does not own or operate the weather stations up here. But on our website, weather.gov, we plot all of those. Basically, we collect every possible agency's weather information we can get plotted right on our page. I'll give you the chief can talk about the details of the local weather station here.
So yes, we have several. The U.S. Forest Service has several at their station locations: Keenwild, Kenworthy, out in Anza, and also at the Idyllwild Fire Station here locally, we have weather stations. And so those changes that you're seeing are accurate most of the time. We have microclimates all throughout the mountain range up here, and so what you're seeing at the Idyllwild Fire Station versus what you're seeing in Anza can have gigantic sways, especially in temperature, but humidities, wind speeds, all of those, and generally speaking, they are extremely accurate. We have our folks go out. Each of our agencies go out and verify our weather stations by hand. We go out and actually physically spin the weather. We check for dew points and temperature and humidity, and we check those against what our weather stations are reporting, and they are extremely accurate. But yes, you will see massive drops in temperature from a weather station up in Pine Cove versus what you see at Idyllwild or what you see at Kenworthy out in Garden Valley. But you have several resources, and like Alex said, you can go on and check what's close to you, and then check and see which ones you'd like to get that information from.
Is there a way of finding out where the local, the Idyllwild Fire Department one is online to find out what?
So you can identify which one of those you're reading from
Yes.
on their website. You can also go on our website, and our particular weather station is being broadcast 24 hours a day.
Okay.
So if you went on idylllfire.com, you know what the weather station on our back lot is reporting. I believe that Pine Cove Water has that as well, correct? 2
We have
locations?
two. They're all Davis, just like yours.
Perfect.
And
So
there's one in Fern Valley, Davis Instruments.
are those reading live, Jerry, on your
Yes.
website as well?
Yeah.
So you can pick those up as well and look at them in real time. Okay? Did that answer that? Okay. Yeah, Lanny?
I get Weather Underground gives me 2 brooks on Cockless Drive as their source.
I didn't hear that part, sorry.
2 brooks on Cockless Drive.
So there are several private weather stations up here as well. There are folks that have put those up. I cannot speak to whether or not how accurate those are. I can tell you that we go out and we spin the weather. We also get fuel moisture readings all of the time. Our folks are very well trained on how to pick those up. So we know what your fuel moistures are, as Alex was speaking to earlier. We know what the humidities are, and we get accurate readings every day.
I'm curious if anyone has received any notice from SCE yet about power being shut off because of this next wind event. Has anyone received it?
As I mentioned earlier, the last time it came in at 10:30 at night. SCE will notify us by cell or by phone, whatever you have listed on your account. And that warning can come in at any time. But as far as I know, we haven't received any warning as of today.
So you mentioned keeping our cell phones on. We certainly have, SCE has our phone number, and I think we've registered with Rivco, but if there were an evacuation, are we supposed to be registered somewhere else, or our cell phone, I'm not sure how that works.
Rivco will send out a message, number one.
I'll just add real quick, I missed this earlier. Roland and Bill Teller here with the Mile High Radio Club and Winky. They do a great job helping us to keep that up. I would encourage you to tune to 1610. We will be broadcasting any evacuation information over 1610. That is, I'm going to tell you, that's going to be your best resource to go to. So again, 1610, you're going to dial it in. We will be broadcasting the information that is necessary, and that will be a combined effort. Whatever unified command is, if there are several agencies, we're all going to agree to the message. We're going to put one message out, and that would be the official message. You'd be picking that up on Winky, 1610. Also, if you have a device registered with Rivco Ready, I would say this, anybody who tells you you are absolutely guaranteed to get a message is wrong, right? Fact of the matter is they're going to do their absolute best to get those messages out. Will it work 100% of the time, all the time? No. It works great when it works. Power outages, certain cell signals, all of those things come into play, and there's some big variables. So, one thing I do know is I've been up here for an awful lot of events. The mountain fire and the Cranston fire, Winky did not turn off. We were uploading that information in real time. Those messages were getting out immediately. And so I would encourage you, if you don't have an AM radio, please get one. They're very inexpensive. You can get the kind that wind up and you don't even need a battery. Or get in your vehicle and turn it to 1610. I check it all the time. I know Bill and Roland and the Mile High Radio Club group is out there ensuring it all the time. We put signs up on the highway to get people to tune to that during an emergency. We check it to ensure that it's worth it, it's broadcasting. And so I pick up broadcasts all the way out in Garner Valley near Lake Hemet. There's some holes coming up King Summit. But what I will tell you is in Idyllwild proper and up into Pine Cove, Winky does stretch out there, and you will be able to get that information. So please tune to 1610.
Got to give a little plug to Mountain Disaster Preparedness too, because Idylllwild.emergency.com shares the same information that Winky will. So if internet is up, power is up, you can get a blast from us through Idylllwild.emergency.com as well.
I was somewhat startled last night when I woke up 4 different occasions with my cell phone ringing. My phone was a 323 number in Los Angeles. We all know there's terrible fires in Los Angeles, and it didn't dawn on me. Am I going to be getting information from 951?
So if you
Maybe I should check with them and change it to my house phone.
So if you have only signed up with the LA Basin Emergency Response
I
Technologies.
signed up with them though. I moved up here a year and a half ago.
Okay, so if you were getting those, I would double check with Rivco Ready and make sure that you are signed up to get those messages, because if you're getting it from those LA areas, it may very well be that you have not swapped that over yet. So I would double check just to make sure.
Check with whom now?
RivcoReady.org.
Riverside County.
Correct. If you just go on to Rivco, RIV.co.org,
Was that on your cell phone?
you will be able to sign up right there.
Was that
And
on
if
your
you're already signed up, Stacy, correct me if I'm wrong, it'll let you know. If you go to enter that,
Yes.
and you've already entered it, it'll say, hey, there's already an account. Okay.
Make sure your location is turned on your cell phone. Sometimes people turn it off to save battery.
Location? No, I haven't.
You got, okay, as long as your location's on, so your cell phone knows where you're located. Some people turn it off to save battery, and it wouldn't know you're here.
Mike's coming to you.
I've lived here a long time, and I'm just curious, what's the status of the old-fashioned siren going off? You can hear that anywhere when it goes.
The Chief Lamont, Riverside County, MDP have been pushing that for quite a while. I think marketing, it's in the works.
I think Mike just said it all. We are working to resurrect a system. The old siren, which I agree, you can't hear it in most places. In all places, the answer is no. So we are actually working with a company called American Signal Corp on designing a system so that we can ensure that it has far-reaching ability and that no one is left out. We are in the middle stages of that. We're getting some numbers back to quantify exactly how many dollars we're going to have to be spent to resurrect that. The old siren system is extremely outdated. It doesn't meet any of the current technology standards. So it has some inherent problems in setting it off, in keeping power to it, in ensuring there's power to that facility that is in a private piece of property now. And so we are working on a system that would tie into the broader system that would go across the entire mountain plateau. And we are working diligently to try to finish that up. And as soon as that information is available, we will get it out to you. But we are working on it.
Yes, sir.
How long time does the backup system for the cellular infrastructure have?
Repeat that?
How much backup time if the power goes, whether it's battery or diesel generator, how much longer do the cellular infrastructure hold up?
Yes, I cannot speak to your individual cell phone carriers. Okay, they will put up what are called cows. Those cows come out and they will allow for usage of all the different carriers, separated from the inline power system. So those run-off generators. I can tell you for Winky and Idyllwild Fire, we have a propane backup generator that runs the entire facility and we did not have any downtime during any of the emergencies. We maintain that generator, and we have 1,000 gallons of propane that will run that thing for weeks on end, should we have that in-depth emergency. So Winky will be up and running, Idyllwild Fire will be up and running, the emergency service agencies will be up and running. I am not going to jump out on a limb and tell you what your service provider can do, but I know that we work with them extensively during our fire events, and they did a very good job getting that stood up so that we could communicate.
Sherry, I'm going to put you out on a limb. A lot of the towers on your property in Pine Cove, I know during the last fire, the generators didn't have enough fuel. Can you let us know?
I don't know about which one didn't have enough fuel, but they run off of propane, they all have backup generators. They can go for, I would suggest for at least a week. And, you know, just like our complex and many of our wells can run a week or two up for our backup powers.
Does that answer your question? Well, yes, ma'am.
So it may be a mild winter, but I recall from last year, there was just a generalized concern that because of the fires, there could be impacts and debris flow for up to 2 years post-fire. So is that in wintertime, is that like where Alex Carter's talking about following weather, that's the reason to kind of follow the weather, follow Rivco Ready, and see if there is any kind of issue with potential flash flood watch warning situations?
Yeah, I think I understand your question. So for any fire scar, particularly one like we saw here with the Cranston, the recovery is anywhere from 3 to 5 years. But each year it's a lot better. And so we work with the United States Geological Survey, and they provide us with the type of rainfall that would cause, rainfall rates that would cause a problem like a debris flow or a washout or a flash flood. So compared to last year, we're a lot better, but you're correct, we're not out of the woods because all of the terrain is not completely recovered. In some places, not recovered at all yet. So that's a good question. And as far as flash flood messaging, and this might help with some other questions as well. So when we issue a flash flood warning like we did in February 14th, Valentine's Day, you all should have gotten that on your phone, and that's called a wireless emergency alert. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to have anything but Wi-Fi running. You can have your phone on and it'll work. And how it works is that it uses radio wave technology on your cell tower. So all that really needs to be functioning is your cell tower and your phone, type of thing. You're going to hear more and more of this because with wildfires, and they've been doing this in LA County a little bit, they will also push not flash flood warnings, but evacuation wildfire messages through the wireless emergency alert system. This is in addition to Rivco Ready, in addition to reverse 911 and other types of notification. So I just wanted to throw that in there because she had mentioned, flash flood warnings, and that's a perfect example, February 2019.
I'd just like to tag on, just for clarification, two different things. And again, please go to your resources. Look at your devices. Get accurate information before you act. And tune into Winky to get direction. Two different incidents altogether. Wildland fire, when we talk evacuation, we're actually asking you to leave the path. Flooding, flash flooding, if you live in Idylllwild or Pine Cove, we're going to ask you to shelter in place. We're going to ask you to just stay there. Please do not get out on the highway when you get a weird flash flood message. You, in Idyllwild, I have walked almost the entire scar of the Cranston fire. You will not be impacted in Idyllwild or Pine Cove proper, in your home, by a flash flood coming from the Cranston fire scar. You will not. Promise you that. It is below your residential locations, okay? There are some areas in Apple Canyon, there's some areas in Mountain Center that would be impacted in that way, and we will make sure that we take care of those. But if you get a WIA message for flash flood and you live in Idyllwild or Pine Cove, please go slow to go fast. That's something we talk about all the time, slow down. You are not in imminent danger when you get a flash flood warning if you are here in Idyllwild. If you're driving up Highway 74, please heed all of those messages, right? Because the star's above you. But right now, where you live, right here in this gymnasium, we are not going to be impacted by a flash flood because of the Cranston fire scar. So I would just ask, just to clarify that when you get those messages, it's a completely different discussion altogether. We're not necessarily asking you to load up in your car and to get on the highway. It will cause more congestion, it will cause more threat to you if you do that. So tune in to Winky. I'll give another plug here. 1610, we will have that information going out as well.
One last question.
This is a highway question. I noticed when I was driving on 74 from Hemet today, on the north side of 74, the hills look like they've been shaved. Is that, in the event of a heavy rain, won't a lot of that come down onto the highway?
So that's part of the purpose that we build the AC dike. And then also they have done some erosion control on those hillsides. And there's also the burlap water control, I forget what they call those things. Yeah, but no, there's something else. But yeah, they're swaddles. Yeah, swaddles. And they're for stormwater control. But anyway, we've done everything that we can, the best we can to shore up those slopes. But we need to get some growth on the side of those hills. And that's what we're waiting for this winter. But the AC dike will help with some of that runoff and redirect some of that water.
Well, folks, this was our 4th meeting that we were honored to co-host. I want to thank Caltrans for bringing the information to us first. Didn't go on media, didn't go on radio. We heard it before a press release. Terry, we really do appreciate the information.
Preparedness group for allowing this to happen. Of course, again, the principal, where would we go if we didn't have you guys to come up here, coordinate this meeting to be able to bring our partner agencies up? I mean, it's just critical that we have worked so closely with this community, and I'll never forget your faces. I may not know your names, but I'll never forget your faces. Hopefully we won't have to come up here again anytime soon. But I just really want to thank you guys for allowing us to be up here, for everybody for being so supportive.
Way past the record for a short meeting, but I want to thank you all for coming. I'm glad we were able to take questions from the floor. Happy holidays and enjoy our new highways. Thanks for